If you're not signed up, come on up here anyway, we'll sign you.
Is this the live left? Right there. Where you line up at?
Right here, be fine.
You can kick it off there. You're alive.
Sign up with him.
All right, we got about, looks like we got about 7 or 8 here that's gonna be pretty good now. Y'all continue to think about this. You may come up with some good reason you want to tell a lie, so you'll have a good opportunity this afternoon to do so. So I guess we're gonna start off here.
What?
You here?
I'm here to lie.
You here live, so we're gonna let you start.
No, let me start. I'm sweating already. Is this thing on?
Yeah, you'll have to over that.
Got to hold it up close to me. I don't want them to hear this lie if I tell one. I don't know what in the world I signed that list for. I don't know how to lie. I never could lie. Mama didn't allow no lying around the house. You raised all them boys. You'd get the hard hope out of you. If she caught you lying, she could look at you and tell you whether she was lying or not. But, thank God, I told my daughter I'm going to sign that lie list. I don't know how to lie, but here I am. So I got to come up with something to tell you over a lie. I got to make up one in a hurry. I done got up here with this microphone, never done this before in my life. I'm a nervous wreck. So I'm gonna tell you a story instead of telling you lies. I'm gonna tell you a story. My daddy was a coon hunter. I never did like the coon hunt. Time or two, all I'd go. But he was a coon hunter. We were raised up there in the east end of Colbert County, and he would hunt over there on the river where the Robert Trent Jones golf course is at right today. We had squirrel hunt, coon hunt in that area. He would come down here to west end of the county and hunt with those fellows. They'd come up there and hunt with him, bring their dogs, and they'd stay out all night. Had an old coon over there on the river. They called him Old Big Boy. They all wanted to tree Big Boy, and they couldn't do it. So they got the west end of the county, and they're good dogs down there. Underwood might have been with them, I don't know, but a lot of folks up there with their dogs. And they go over there on what they call it back in the Jackson quarters. So they got their dogs out there to run in. And my brother, a little older than me, went with them. And they got down there and they struck that Old Big Boy. They says, that's him. I can tell you how he's running. He'd go across them woods. He'd hit the river, go up east, come back across them woods, they'd lose him. Couldn't find him. Dogs would give up. They'd smell around there, bark around there, and they'd be laying all around there. Coon's gone. So here they had them all up there that night. That coon come down the river, and me and my brother was up there. We knew what Big Boy was going to do. So we decided to go over here at the edge of the field where they'd lose him. We run over there, it's getting about daylight. They'd run that coon down that river all night. Quickly here they come across them woods, and that coon come up here to the fence line, went up that post, got up there and she jumped over here to this other post, jumped to this other post, about 30 feet, jumped to that other post up there, went out of the woods there about 30 feet, caught on to a low limb, tree limb, went up that tree and crawled in a hole. Here comes them dogs and here comes them grown men hunting and chasing them dogs. Them dogs trailed across there and got to that fence line. And them good coon hounds lost that coon. They didn't treat him. They give up on him. Me and my brother standing out there in the field watching them and wondering what they was going to do. They never did tree Old Big Boy. That was back in the 50s. You can go over there on the golf course today. Go up there on that fence line early in the morning. You'll find a mama's coon with a half a dozen little ones following. She'll get them up in that trent post and they'll jump from one post to the other. Jump from one post to the other. Jump from one post to the other. She's teaching them. She's teaching them. Now the story goes to that. You learn something from that. All you people out here that's got children, that's got grandchildren, you need to teach them to keep them out of trouble. It's our responsibility to teach these young children to keep them out of trouble. Us don't fall short on our responsibility. Now that's my life for you. You can pick it up and use what you want to. You can borrow some of it, but that's the best lie I can take. Only one I've ever told. Thank you. Am I dismissed? Yeah, you got it. That's the only thing that's true. Lord, yeah. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, who's next? Marshall Wallace? Right there, right here he is.
Thank you. My name is Marshall Wallace. I've been doing this contest for a couple years now. So every year, getting close to Labor Day, I'll look out around town. I'll try to find something that's lying contest worthy. And usually I come up with at least something. Well, this year I was out of luck. And then I realized all I had to do was go up to my grandparents' house one night. So a lot of y'all know Gerald and Linda Wallace. So I went up to their house and my grandfather and I were sitting down. Grammy said, "Yep, y'all want some ice cream? I got some new bowl of ice cream here." And I said, "Sure, Daddy boy, you want some?" He said, "Yeah." And you know what? Put us a little chocolate syrup on there. She said, "All right, I can do that." He said, "Now listen, I want you to write that down or I'm sure you're going to forget it." And she said, Don't worry, I'm not going to forget it. I can remember 2 bowls of ice cream, chocolate syrup, just fine. And I said, "Grammy, you mind if can you just put a little dab of whipped cream on there for me?" She said, "All right." And girl said, "You need to write that down or you're going to forget it." And she said, "Gerald, I done told you I can remember something as simple as 2 bowls of ice cream, chocolate syrup, and whipped cream." And he said, "Well, you know what? I got a new bowl of cherries the other day. Why don't you get us a couple cherries and chop them off?" She said, "All right, I can do that." He said, "Now I'm not going to tell you again to write that down." And she said, "Gerald, I'm not going to tell you again. I can remember." So we turned on the TV, started watching something, and next thing you hear in the kitchen, pots and pans are rattling, bunch of big commotion going on. A couple minutes later, Grammy comes back with 2 big old plates of scrambled eggs. and Daddy Bull said, "Linda, I told you to write that down. And the only reason I did that is because I knew that you were going to forget our bacon." Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. That was a good one. We appreciate that. Up next, let's see. Ben?
He needs to go last.
You want to go ahead on here, Ben? He's gonna tell you the story.
I'll tell you a story about my great granddad. Jono. Johno. I don't know how he got his name. When he was born, his mom was trying to figure out what to name him, and she named him Jono. When his dad saw him, he
said, "Hey, John." "Oh, because he was so ugly."
Thank you, Dan, appreciate that. All right, John Weed.
Actually, that's John O. Johno. And for the true story of that, well, you determined that. When my mom was carrying me, that was back a few years ago, she was listening to the Grand Ole Opry. And, there wasn't much TV then, black and white anyway. And somebody was introduced, and they introduced him as, maybe his name was John Oscar or something, and introduced him as John O. So she put the whole name of John. We just moved up here from South Alabama. And you know it, everybody in South Alabama is alive. I want to tell you a story that you determine whether or not it actually happened. I was 16, had my driver's license, but it didn't matter anyway, driving on the farm and driving on dirt roads. But I had a 50s model black Ford truck. And my dad had a garage and had a junkyard beside the house. And he, the body was rusted out on the truck. It had a flatbed. Well, me and my buddies went camping on the creek, back in the woods, all the time when the weather was good. Don't know who owned the land. They never ran us off, so I guess it was okay. So we went camping one night. Oh, and my dad had a junkyard. He had a big pile of tires. You know what's easier than picking up wood or chopping wood? Burning tires. So we would burn tires and have light, and we'd sleep on the ground. That night, we scored a 6-pack of Miller Lite, little cleaners. There were 5 of us. You should have seen us fighting over that last beer. First time we'd ever had beer. So anyway, we finally went to sleep. We were laying there. One of my buddies hollered, real big, just screamed on us. So all of us woke up, and I looked, and this big, white, furry animal was walking through where we were sleeping. It scared me so bad, I reached over and grabbed the tractor tire with one hand and put it on the fire. Well, we told the tale. Nobody ever believed us. So y'all decide, fact or fiction. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Up next, we got Billy Boyd.
There he is. In trouble now.
Thank you, brother. He's my buddy back here. I'm afraid to turn my back on him, I want to tell you what. I ain't much of a liar, but I do want to do a little advertising. I've got a grandfather clock at my house that's for sale. It's so old, I have no idea how old it is, but it's so old that the shadow of the pendant has wore a hole in the back of it. Thank y'all enough.
Thank you, Billy. All right, what about Brian? I don't know about the name. Brian?
You can say that. Well, this story goes way back, because 34 years ago in June, I married my first wife. So that's only been a little while ago. Anyway, on our honeymoon, neither one of us had ever been to Florida. So that was a long way for us to go. Anyway, we went, and we wanted to go deep sea fishing. So we signed up to go deep sea fishing. It was $75 a piece. I've always been kind of tight, so I got to figuring. I went to the fish market. I looked at them red snappers, and they was $14.99 a pound, so I figured in my head, we got to go out here and catch 10 pounds of these red snappers to make this trip worthwhile. So we did. We iced them down. That's back when they let you have it. We iced them down on our way home. We stopped by one of them little roadside stands, and they had shrimp for sale, fresh shrimp. So I said, yeah, we'd like to have some of them to go with our snappers. So we bought a couple of pounds of them. I looked over right beside that man that had the shrimp, and there's a fellow sitting there about the old Bishop's age. He looked like he'd been fishing for a while. So he had a sign up there that said lobster tails. $2. So I looked at my wife, and we didn't have much money left. I said, you think we need to get one of them? We ain't never had one. Let's try one. So I walked over there and gave him my $2, and he stuck it in his little lock box. I said, I'll take one of them lobster tails. He looked at me and he said, once upon a time there was this lobster.
Thank you, Travis. I mean, Ryan. Up next, we have Travis. He wants to tell y'all something. I ain't never known his why, but he's going to tell you.
I'm gonna tell a lot. There was this mom and dad. They had this son. He's lied about everything, stretched the truth, make up stuff, and it worried them. They said, you know, if he grows up doing this, you know, this is going to be embarrassing. We need to try to get him some help. So the father said, well, let's take him to church, talk to the preacher. So they go see the preacher, and they said, look, little Johnny, he lies about everything. He stretches the truth. We don't know what we're going to do with him. Preacher said, well, bring him over tomorrow to the church. I believe I can straighten him out. So next day, they brought little Johnny over there to the church. Preacher told him, said, Johnny, sit down over here. And said, little Johnny sat down across from him. He said, you see that door there at the back of the church, Johnny? He said, yes, sir. He said, I know you're not going to believe this, but yesterday, a huge grizzly bear knocked that door down, came in on his hind legs, claws out. He was coming at me. I knew it was all over. And he said, out of the clear blue, this little old bitty dog ran and jumped up and pulled that juggler out of that big grizzly bear and then jerked him and pulled him out the back door. He said, Johnny, you believe that? Johnny said, yes, sir. That was my dog.
Thank you, Travis. All right, we have George up here. I guess the last one on the list we got right here, so I'll let George tell his part.
He didn't call my last name. Everybody makes a mistake on it. It's Lair, but everybody calls it Liar. So I figured this was the contest for me. My granddaddy, who I was named after, George Lair, he was born in 1861, and he helped build the original dam out there at Wilson Dam for the Corps of Engineers. And he'd come home late at night, and he'd noticed that somebody was getting into his wood. So he figured, man, I'm gonna fix this. So what he did, he took a piece and bored a hole in the end of it and filled it with gunpowder and then plugged it up. And then he just waited. And sure enough, later on, wham! And here's all this smoke, and the guy's chimney falls off, and he knew right then who the culprit was. And that guy never stole any more wood from my granddaddy. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's right.
Thank you, George. All right, that's all of them. I guess we need to get all y'all that told that lined up here. Let's see who can get the biggest audit from the response. Let's see who win this, because there's been a lot of good stories told. I know, and it'd be hard to say who won it. So I guess we'll line them all up here and. All right, Marshall, he started off right here. Let's see. Y'all heard Marshall Wallace's story. What y'all give him a big round of applause for that. All right, and then we got Ben right here. We heard his story. Give him a round of applause. And then his dad there, John. Yeah, okay, yeah, John. John Reed, okay. And Billy Boyd, down here. Y'all heard of him? And, Brian Vanderbilt, y'all heard Brian's story there about the priest and the and I guess Travis Walmack back there, we can't leave him out, because he was, yeah, he's the first one with us. Yeah, I got Marshall here, let's see,
Meadows.
yeah, let's see, all right. Okay, man, we got you up. So anyway, well, I got everybody now.
I'll give myself.
George and I'm not getting to you, George, okay. George Lynn.
I'd be a liar.
All right, we heard them all, so, you know, I don't know which is the best. I think Marshall here had a pretty good story, and I guess we, yeah, and Ben, is that right? Okay, you and Marshall, I guess it's down to y'all. If you got another one you can tell real quick. You got another story? If not, we're just gonna, I tell you what, between y'all two, how about that? That good? So, if you would, y'all, go over here and get you a cap or a t-shirt, and we appreciate y'all attending this. Thank you so much.
Hey, give them a big hand.
Give them a big round of applause. All right, we ready for the buck dance contest? All right. Look like we got Casey Martin, Carson Glass. Hey. Okay, Case. All right, Case.